Hello from the ABA Midyear Meeting 2019 in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm Kimberly Sanchez.
I'm Chad Burton.
And we're on the road with Legal Talk Network. And we're back. Thank you so much for joining us on the Road. It's a pleasure to be here. And today we're going to be talking about ABA Blueprint 2.0 with Mr. Chad Burton.
2.0? We can do better than that.
2.2?
No.
5?
This isn't
0.0?
This isn't 2015, but you can continue. That's fine.
All right. Well, maybe we can get our guests to comment on that at some point in time after they listen to what it actually is. But Mr. Chad Burton, could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Chad Burton. I'm in charge of Blueprint 2.0. Just
No, you got
I'm CEO of Curolegal and a co-founder of Modern Law Practice, among other things.
What does Curolegal do?
We do some tech development and implementation in the legal industry.
Okay. All right. So, the big topic here today is ABA Blueprint. Why don't you give us a little history on that and then tell us what the new stuff is?
So we started ABA Blueprint in 2016. It was an initiative of Linda Klein when she was president of the ABA. The goal and mission behind Blueprint is to help small firm attorneys modernize their law practice. We started off with the first version of it, and for the first year and a half or so, did some beta testing, did a lot of learning about what is needed as far as how you could use technology like Blueprint to automate recommendations to lawyers on what they need to run their practice. The first version of Blueprint had a select group of vendors and a pretty basic expert system where the user could go through, answer some questions, and get some recommendations. Very successful. We had, in the first year and a half, 33,000 users engage with Blueprint.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Obviously an appetite for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, it's going right at the core. And where this came from, Linda Klein did something that those of us that in the legal tech small firm world know, but a lot of the rest of the industry isn't aware that small firm attorneys struggle with running their business. Just an issue that's out there. And she traveled the country and met with I think she went to 70 cities when she was president-elect, meeting with attorneys everywhere. And that was a common thing. It was help us run our practice better. And so that's where Blueprint came from originally. And it has the same mission now. And what we did is we took a lot of, anytime you're working on a program like this, you want to learn about how users are engaging with it. You want to understand, is there a better way to do it? So we started working on the next version of it. And near the end of last year, we rolled out, I think what you called Blueprint 2.0. Right. That's adorable. We rolled out the next version of it. And it has an expanded chatbot where the user can go through and very conversational type setting, answer questions about their firm. And at the end, it kicks out a very comprehensive report for them. Depending upon how they answer questions, it could be a 15-page report that they get recommendations and content about how to improve their practice. And that's free to any legal professional. The first version of it, a lot of it was behind an ABA login wall. We've removed that. So you go to abablueprint.com, you'll find the bot. You can answer questions. We've also created a resource center that has a bunch of vendors on it and growing. We're onboarding 3 new vendors now. It has a bunch of content as well that's relevant for law practice management. We highlight upcoming events like ABA Tech Show, and that resource center ties into the recommendations from the bot. And so it's a very comprehensive practice management tool. Really what it's doing is it's like a virtual consultant for law firms to improve their business practice.
So lawyers can go to this website. They can put in their information through the bot, and they can get all of these recommendations to them that are going to help them do better at business and run their life and get all of these recommendations without having to go to 25,000 different websites, ask their friends, figure out what the best tool for them would be. This is all synthesized by the ABA in this Blueprint.
Absolutely. And it's accessible and free. And even if you're not an ABA member, you can use it. Now, each of the participating vendors provides a unique offering or discount. You need to be an ABA member to get that, but you can use the entire application and system without being an ABA member.
Okay.
That's like the kind of value that the ABA is looking to bring to the profession.
Yeah, that
That
ABA.
sounded very like that. Oh,
That ABA, they're very forward
I'm
thinking.
not employed by the ABA at all. So forward thinking.
Yeah, no, that is
But
very forward
it
thinking.
really is. I mean, Linda, when we started this discussion, it was not an easy concept to think through because think about this, like the ABA or any bar for the first time is saying, look, we can go through and make recommendations to you. Most bars don't do that. Now, what's cool, though, as a result of like this next version of it is a lot of bar associations, state, local, and specialty bars are interested in offering it to their members. So we can keep getting it out there to more and more lawyers. The goal being any lawyer who uses it or paralegal or triple LT, legal professional, put whatever label you want on it, it's accessible and free for people to use. That's pretty powerful.
So the ABA in the investment of this, which your organization helped develop,
Correct.
is really looking at the lawyer, and the lawyer in the future, and how lawyers are going to be able to interact with their clients, are going to be able to interact with their own technology, their forms, and so forth, to make their practices better.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely. And
That's an incredible tool and really, really thoughtful on the ABA, and it's cool that you're a part of it.
it is cool. And actually, what's been interesting about this new version of it is there's now really two constituents to Blueprint. One is obviously the lawyers, but we're also working with the participating providers, the vendors who are serving this market. And what we did was we created a private Slack community. So all of those who are on Blueprint, the vendors, are part of a Slack community where we're trying to foster relationships between the different vendors, integrations, partnerships. As we add other bar associations to the mix, we'll invite them in. Actually, right now, there's ABA leaders that are part of the Slack group.
Okay.
And so the point being is that we want to help the small firm lawyers, but on the vendor side, a lot of them it's kind of like the small firm world where you kind of like exist in your own little world and especially newcomers to the market. So we're really trying to foster that community and help that out as well.
Give me a couple of examples of vendors.
We have a really wide variety. There's the perhaps obvious like case management software. We have 5 or 6 case management vendors. We have new products. Actually, we have a company that helps lawyers who represent blockchain companies. So it's very we have some very specific. BlockDrop is one of those. We have virtual receptionists like Ruby and Smith.ai. We have some voice transcription concepts. And then staples like Office 365. I'm sorry, not staples. Not staples where you can go to the store and buy stuff.
Oh, okay.
Staples like core solutions like Office 365. Yeah, that's
No, thank you. You're right. I'm a listener, right? And I immediately
listening.
thought,
Sorry.
oh, the big box store staples.
This is a podcast, and you couldn't see Kimberly's face, but she's like, "Oh, that's fun." Best Buy and Staples are on Blueprint. Yes. We have some discussions going with some large companies that are not staples, but they're staples
to the profession, like to being able to run the
like
practice.
QuickBooks Online,
Okay.
Office 365, actually Law Toolbox, which is an application to help litigators keep track of calendar appointments. They are our Office 365 reseller.
So again, you have done all of the work for all of this. Basically, all a lawyer has to do is go to this website, fill out the information, answer some questions, and then they get all of these tools and resources and recommendations given to them. That is an incredible resource.
It is.
What is the feedback? Is it too early, or what are lawyers saying? Or
the
consumers
timing is
saying?
really good, and even with the new one, with our bot, we're watching. We can see the lawyers that are completing it, and it's dead on. We're going at the problems that need to be solved. In fact, the bot will ask questions like, "What are your biggest challenges in your firm?" Some of them are open-ended questions because that way we can really help that user, or that lawyer, and a lot of it goes to core issues like getting more clients, dealing with employees, things that aren't necessarily a surprise, but being able to see that and capture that information will allow us to help them use it more.
Okay,
And
right. So you're collecting this data so that you can kind of analyze it and see where maybe those pain points are
Correct.
that lawyers are having with their
right.
their
And that
practices.
will help, we have some partners within the ABA. Law Practice Division has provided some content, section of litigation, GP Solo, young lawyers. And within the ABA and these other bars, as they join up, we're going to help them guide programming because, if you see common trends that, family law lawyers are struggling with X issue, well, the family law section needs to know that. And they need to be able to reach out to those lawyers, not specific lawyers, but to their membership and say, we know this is a problem. How can we help you?
No, that's an incredible tool, that data collection. How many people, like in a ballpark, have accessed this?
In the first year and a half, before the new version went out, we had 33,000 users that engaged with Blueprint. We're into the thousands already, even within a month and a half of the new version being out. So it's going along nicely.
And the market here, typically, like that's targeted for, is a solo to small firm.
It's it's the small firm market. So it's the 2/3 ish of our profession that are in firms that are 10 lawyers and under, folks that have already started firms, but also those, actually a lot of our users are thinking about starting firms. So they may be at a bigger firm now or another firm and they're thinking about getting out. And so they're using this as a way to jumpstart their practice.
Is there like an opportunity for lawyers who use this product to provide feedback? Like, is there some sort of a loop here
There is.
so that you
yeah,
also...
absolutely. On the resource center and within the bot itself, we have an email address set up that allows for feedback. Blueprint@curolegal.com is a great way to provide that feedback. We are doing a good amount of social media with it and getting feedback there as well. That's actually how the second version grew, because if the first version sucked and it wasn't being used and it wasn't solving a problem, that's where a lot of challenges with bar programs get lost, where you roll something out and it just sits there. What we wanted to make sure, and Linda was very clear about this from when she rolled it out, was that we're not just going to let it sit there. We're going to make sure that it continues to evolve and improve. So we're going to get feedback. And so it has the support of presidents. So Bob Carlson now is very supportive of Blueprint. He's a small firm guy from Montana. Judy Perry Martinez, our next president, has been very supportive of it as well. And so what we'll do is we'll keep getting feedback and iterating on it. Lots of discussions with users like the lawyers, lots of discussions with the vendors.
I think that's one of the most valuable pieces. Not only is just sort of like synthesizing the sort of the issues that a lawyer may have when starting a practice or wanting to build a practice, but also as a lawyer myself and as a, not a business person, it's nice to know that like the ABA is doing some work behind the scenes with these vendors in a space that is really truly just sort of exploding. Right. So it seems to me like you get some of the ABA, you get some due diligence behind this and then it comes through. So if you've had any feedback on that, I'd be curious, but that seems to me like an incredible value, not to mention the fact that it's free.
Is it free? Have we mentioned that you can just get on it and use it? Think about it. So we'll keep it vague just so people don't have extra heart attacks. But when I proposed the idea that we remove the login wall, that's not normal bar behavior if you think about that from a member perspective. But the ABA leadership embraced it. Once we talked through, the point of it is like to help as many professionals as we can. Like, let's not just wall this off, because the value there is going to be so much more than a discount.
Right.
It's the education behind it. On the vendor side, we have a lot of established vendors. We have a lot of new ones as well. And
there's some sort of vetting process, and
there is. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that those participating are serious about serving this market.
Right.
We've had some apply that aren't actually, they just aren't. They think that it sounds like a great grab at going at it, but once we dig in, they're not necessarily really there to help the market along.
I think that's incredible, and hands down an amazing idea from the ABA. And because Chad, you're not only a lawyer, but also a technologist,
Right.
right. And so seems like the perfect marriage here to have you and your organization really working with this and the ABA's backing. I think it's incredible. I think it's something that I hope is continued to be utilized. And it sounds like a really neat thing. I would have loved. I mean, I know so many lawyers that had loved when they started their practice to like be just given a tool that
Right.
helped them.
Well, and when I started my solo practice, I came from a big firm environment. And I mean, this was a while ago. This is 10, 11 years ago. So different market. I mean, that's when like cloud-based case management was super new.
Oh, the cloud.
Right, the cloud. It was evil and the devil. And I came
Now
from a
we
big
can't
firm.
live without it.
Right, it is. Yeah, right. It's and really then you couldn't either. People just didn't realize they were using it. But when I started my firm, I remember impulsively buying a Mac because I was like, oh, these are supposed to be good. And then I went to find the software to run my practice like I did when I was at a big firm, all the case management software, and it just wasn't. It didn't exist. And that's when I learned about, oh, there's these other solutions out there. And the way I did it was I had to go out and do a ton of research and try things that like I had no idea what they were. And that's when we started Curo like 6 years ago or so. Our initial offerings were really legal tech consulting for solo small firms. And really what we've done is automated a lot of that same work in Blueprint.
Again, like you're the perfect sort of marriage for this.
Right.
And I think that, the takeaways here and the amazing pieces of it, right? It's free. It's
Is it free?
Incredible resource.
Is it incredible?
It's an incredible resource.
Incredible free resource.
And I mean, more people should know about this resource so that they can use it. And so thanks,
because
Chad.
it's incredible and free.
It is incredible and free. Do we say
Yes.
free? Everybody likes free.
Yay.
Thank you, Chad, very much
Thank
for
you.
answering all of my questions about what I will continue to call ABA Blueprint 2.0. So we've reached the end of the road for today's episode. I want to thank our guests for joining us today. Thank you very much, Mr. Chad Burton. We also want to thank our listeners for tuning in. If you like what you heard today, please subscribe, rate, and review us in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or your favorite podcasting app. We'll see you next time for another episode of On the Road with Legal Talk Network.
If you'd like more information about what you've heard today, please visit LegalTalkNetwork.com. Subscribe via iTunes and RSS. Find us on Twitter and Facebook, or download our free Legal Talk Network app in Google Play and iTunes. The views expressed by the participants of this program are their own and do not represent the views of, nor are they endorsed by, Legal Talk Network, its officers, directors, employees, agents, representatives, shareholders, and subsidiaries. None of the content should be considered legal advice. As always, consult a lawyer.